Post-structuralism refers to the intellectual developments in philosophy and critical theory that were the results of 20th-century French philosophy. The prefix post refers to the fact that many of its contributors, such as Michel Foucault, Jacques Derrida, and Julia Kristeva, were former structuralists who, after abandoning structuralism, became critical of it. In contrast to structuralism's claims of culturally independent meaning, post-structuralists view culture as inseparable from meaning. Post-structuralism is difficult to define or summarize. Nevertheless, it can be broadly understood as a body of distinct reactions to structuralism. There are two main reasons for this difficulty. First, post-structuralism rejects definitions that claim to have discovered facts or absolute truths about the world. Second, very few people have willingly accepted the label post-structuralist. Rather, they have been labeled as such by others. No one therefore has felt compelled to come up with any manifestos of post-structuralism. Because of these reasons, the exact nature of post-structuralism and whether it can be considered a single philosophical movement continues to be debated. What post-structuralists share in common is a suspicion of the universal structures that were the object of structuralist study. While they still use methods drawn from structuralism, they no longer share the structuralist certainty in the ability to reveal the defining structures of society, narrative, or the mind. Post-structuralism began in France during the 1960s as an antinomian movement critiquing structuralism. It developed during a period of political anxiety, of student and worker protests, and of the general disillusionment with Marxism. As a result, there was increased interest in alternative radical philosophies such as feminism, phenomenology, and even nihilism. These disparate perspectives were all linked by being critical of dominant Western philosophy and culture. Post-structuralism offered a means of justifying these criticisms by exposing the underlying assumptions of many Western norms. Two key figures in the early post-structuralist movement were Roland Barthes and Jacques Derrida. In his famous lecture entitled Structure, Sign and Play in the Human Sciences in a 1966 conference at Johns Hopkins University, Derrida proposed some theoretical limitations of structuralism and attempted to theorize on terms that were clearly no longer structuralist. Post-structuralism generally operates on three basic assumptions. Number 1, the self as conflicting tensions. Post-structuralists hold that the concept of self as a singular and coherent entity is a fictional construct. Instead, an individual comprises conflicting tensions and knowledge claims such as gender, class, profession, etc. To properly study a text, therefore, a reader must understand how the work is related to her own personal concept of self, as this self-perception plays a critical role in one's interpretation of meaning. While different thinkers' views on the self vary, it is often said to be constituted by discourses. Number 2, meaning as created. The meaning the author intended is secondary to the meaning that the reader perceives. Post-structuralism rejects the idea of a literary text having a single meaning, purpose, or existence. Instead, every individual reader creates a new and individual meaning, purpose, and existence for a given text. Not only is this true in literary theory, this position is generalizable to any situation where a subject perceives a sign. Meaning is constructed by an individual from a signifier. And number 3, multifaceted interpretations. Post-structuralists use a variety of perspectives to create a multifaceted interpretation of a text, even if such interpretations conflict with one another. It is particularly important to analyze how the meanings of a text shift in relation to certain variables, usually involving the identity of the reader. In the post-structuralist approach to textual analysis, the reader replaces the author as the primary subject of inquiry. This displacement is often referred to as the destabilizing or decentering of the author. Without a central fixation on the author, post-structuralists examine other sources for meaning, such as readers, cultural norms, and other literature. These alternative sources are never authoritative and promise no consistency. A major theory associated with structuralism was binary opposition. According to this theory, there are certain theoretical and conceptual opposites, often arranged in a hierarchy, which structure a given text, such as the binary pairs male-female, speechwriting, rational-emotional, etc. Post-structuralism rejects the idea of the essential quality of the dominant relation in the hierarchy. It exposes these relations and the dependency of the dominant term on its apparently subservient counterpart. For post-structuralism, the only way to properly understand their meanings is to deconstruct the assumptions and knowledge systems, which produce the illusion of singular meaning. The concept of the metalanguage was proposed by Roland Barthes in his work entitled Elements of Semiology. A metalanguage is a systematized way of talking about concepts, like meaning and grammar, beyond the constraints of a traditional first-order language. In a metalanguage, symbols replace words and phrases. However, insofar as one metalanguage is required for one explanation of first-order language, another may be required, so metalanguages may actually replace first-order languages. Barthes exposed how this structuralist system is regressive. Orders of language rely upon a metalanguage by which it is explained, and therefore deconstruction itself is in danger of becoming a metalanguage, thus exposing all languages and discourse to scrutiny. Post-structuralism has been criticized by scholars from diverse fields. Social and political thinkers, for example, claim that post-structuralism is too abstract, idealist, lacking evaluative standards, and neglectful of social, political, and cultural conditions. While literary scholars criticize it for putting too little focus on the author. They argue that by neglecting the author's life and beliefs entirely, one also takes away the author's responsibility for anything he has written. Lastly, philosophers contend that the post-structuralist idea that there are no fixed meanings is self-contradicting. For if this were true, then the ideas of post-structuralism itself do not also have fixed meanings. If this video was helpful to you, please give it a like, follow us on social media, and subscribe to our channel for more related content. Also, if you want us to make a video about a specific topic, please let us know in the comments section. Thank you, and see you in our next videos.